Welcome to April. I hope you brought some snacks. This week's list for those coming out on April 7th are a little bit extensive. I think it's 21 total titles, and they will be separated by genre. I have started doing an honorable mention section for all of the continuations in series or indies getting trad published. Or those are all just kind of all together, not separated by genre. And that might be the biggest list this week. We'll start off this week with some romantasies. First up is a standalone, Isle of Wrath by Claire Contreras. In Lunaris, everyone trades their memories for asylum. No one remembers their past, their homeland, or the curse that trapped them behind a wall of darkness called the Shroud. But they don't dare break the rules set upon them. Ada Esvido has spent years hiding her healing gift and keeping her head down, but when her twin brother is struck by a poisoned arrow, she breaks the most dangerous rule of them all. She bargains with the goddess of death to save his life. As she's pulled deeper into a world of forbidden prophecies and buried secrets, Ada discovers a devastating truth. Lunaris isn't the paradise she always thought it was. It's a cage. And she's going to somehow be bound to this bad boy warrior. Okay, bad boy might be the wrong turn of phrase. But this was, I think, enemies to lovers marketed or forbidden romance. Then another technically standalone, but it is part of the Enchanted Legacies retelling series of standalones. A Hunger in Every Heart by Kate King. Fae Princess Aurelia wants nothing more than to have an adventure. Raised in secret to keep her safe from her tyrannical father, she was never allowed to claim her royal heritage or even leave her tower. Now her father is dead and she's free to go wherever she wants, but she still can't seem to find the will to walk away, all because of the silent and aloof captain of the guards. Half fae, half wolf shifter, Fox's life has been one long, dangerous adventure. Drafted into the deadliest army in Elander at age 6, he fought every day of his life just to stay alive. Now he somehow finds himself captaining the new king's private army and becoming far too interested in the tiny, annoyingly optimistic sorceress next door. This one is supposed to be a Rapunzel, obviously, and I think Red Riding Hood retelling, somehow blended together. Our fantasies this week are also blending the line there a tad bit. This one is cozy and it will have a slight romantic subplot. So far it has, but we'll see. The Book Witch by Meg Schaefer. Rainy March is a proud third-generation book witch sworn to defend works of fiction from all foes, real and imaginary. With her magical umbrella and feline familiar, she jumps in and out of novels to fix malicious alterations and rogue heroes like the modern-day magical Nancy Drew. But when her beloved grandfather disappears and a priceless book is stolen, there's only one person she trusts to help her solve the case, the Duke. Their quest takes them through the worlds of Alice in Wonderland, King Arthur, and other classics that will reveal hidden enemies and long-buried family secrets. And so far, this book has been absolutely adorable. Then a dark fantasy reimagining of a classic, except you're not following that character. Year of the Mer by L.D. Lewis. The fairy tale mermaid Ariel might have gotten her happily ever after, but her granddaughter Yimi is having a much harder time. Her father, the king of Iaxia, was assassinated years ago. Her mother is slowly dying of a poisoned wound, and she faces whispers and slights from her own people. When the kingdom's discontented rumblings reach a fever pitch, a coup erupts and Yumi's throne is usurped, stripping her of her family and forcing her into exile. Now only one being has the power to help her, Ursula. And she's willing to use Ursula's dark gifts to avenge her family, help her kingdom, because she still wants to help her kingdom. And Ursula wants to not be outdone like she was before. In Sci-Fi this week, we have some quirky ones that both kind of look at family stories as part of it, interestingly enough. The Subtle Art of Folding Space by John Chu. Ellie's universe, and this one, is falling apart. Her ailing mother is in a coma. Her sister, Chris, accuses her of being insufficiently Chinese between assassination attempts, and a shadowy cabal of engineers is trying to hijack the Skunk Works, the machinery that keeps the physics of each universe working the way it's supposed to. Daniel, Ellie's cousin, has found an illicit device in the Skunk Works, one that keeps Ellie's comatose mother alive while also creating destabilizing bugs in the physics of this universe. It's not a good day. And this family is keeping these Skunk Works, whatever it is keeping the physics of the universe going, as it's a part-time project. Like, it's all one family kind of that's doing it. and it's not even their full-time job. Then this one might be more speculative fiction than sci-fi, but it also looks at dynamics and adorable quirkiness. The Infinite Sadness of Small Appliances by Glenn Dixon. In a self-running smart house, a young and sentient Roomba listens as her owner Harold reads aloud to his dying wife Edie. Mesmerized by To Kill a Mockingbird and craving the human connection she witnesses in Harold's stories, the little vacuum renames herself Scout and embarks on a journey of self-discovery. But when Edie passes away, Scout and her fellow sentient appliances discover that there are sinister forces in their midst. The omnipresent grid, which monitors every household in the city, and seeks to remove Harold from his home, a place he's lived for nearly 50 years. And so little Scout, working with a neighborhood boy who's become a friend to Harold and Scout, along with Harold's estranged daughter, who has returned and tried to reconnect, go about opposing the grid, so to speak. And it's grid with a capital G. That's his name, personality, whatever. From there, we're going to move into thrillers. And first up, I think it might have some humor to it, but it's also psychological suspense thrillery. So, The Midnight Show by Lee Kelly and Jennifer Thorne. In the 1980s, women were not supposed to be funny, but when a group of college improv comedians gets the chance to join a new late night show, it's Lillian Martin that stands out. The new show was called The Midnight Show, and it would air every Friday night live from New York and change the landscape of TV and comedy forever. But first, it would change Lillian's and her friends' lives. When the show becomes a runaway hit, the cast is thrown into the spotlight. Suddenly, they're skipping the line at the city's hottest clubs and posing on the cover of Rolling Stone. Lillian in particular seems destined for bigger things, until one winter night in Lower Manhattan, she vanishes, leaving nothing behind but questions. 40 years later, Lillian's disappearance has still never been solved. So we'll have the split timeline aspect. It doesn't mention who the young journalist looking at this case through the modern lens, what their name is, but obviously we will have the split timeline. We'll be following two different characters and events. Then another one that is psychological suspense. I don't know exactly how one of the elements of this is supposed to take place. If this also would fall into our speculative fiction, sci-fi, thriller vein, I'm actually a little bit interested to figure that one out myself. We'll find out. Yesteryear by Caro Claire Burke. Natalie lives a traditional lifestyle. Her charming farmhouse is rustic. Her husband is a handsome cowboy. Her 6 children, each more delightful than the last. So what if there are nannies and producers behind the scenes? Her kitchen hiding in industrial-grade fridges and ovens. Her husband, the heir to a political dynasty. What Natalie's followers, all 8 million of them, don't know won't hurt them. Until one morning, she wakes up in a life that isn't hers. Her home, her husband, her children. They're all similar, but something's off. Is she being tested by God, by Satan? When Natalie suffers a brutal injury in the woods, she realizes 2 things. This is not her beautiful life, and she must escape by any means possible. It's like momfluencer leading the homesteading life and then being taken and actually put in a homestead. Then an interesting one, as this is a debut thriller by an author duo. So this, I think, is their first time actually writing together under this name. The Ending Writes Itself by Evelyn Clark. Arthur Fletch, one of the world's best-selling novelists, is a reclusive genius known for his iconic protagonists and fiendish twists. When 6 struggling authors are invited to spend a weekend on his private Scottish island, they arrive to discover a shocking secret. Arthur Fletch is dead, and his last book is unfinished. Desperate to publish the novel, Fletch's agent and editor have summoned these writers in the hope that one of them will manage a worthy ending for the final book. The catch, the writers have just 72 hours to finish Fletch's magnum opus. Starting is often the hardest part, but getting to the end could be murder. So why would the authors actually want to be killing each other off is my big question here. This does sound like something I remember hearing about last year, but it might be different. We move into YA thriller with The Escape Game by Marissa Mayer and Tamara Moss. 6 months ago, season 4 of The Escape Game ended in a horror when contestant Alicia Angelos was found murdered on set. Now season 5 is underway, and the new contestants are ready to put their skills to the test solving the show's trickiest escape rooms. There's Adie, the cryptographer, Carter, the math whiz, Beck, the wannabe game master, and Sierra Angelos, the girl who got away with her sister's murder, or so everyone believes. But Sierra's not here to win. She's here for justice. I really question how the show got greenlit for another season when there was a contestant dead. But okay. We move on, though, to a sci fi dystopian set in the same world as his previous series, though it does say it could be read as a standalone, as in you could start here. Obviously, if you read the original trilogy or quartet of Chaos Walking, you would have more understanding, though, as to what's going on, possibly. This one, though, is Piper at the Gates of Dusk by Patrick Ness. It's been 20 years since the monstrous war that almost tore New World apart, and there's a new generation on the planet. Ben and Max have known only peace growing up on the family farm outside a bustling human settlement. They dream of the usual things, like school and adventure, until the nightmares begin. And a sudden sickness has infected the young people of New World with noise in the form of their worst thoughts about themselves. Some suspect the spackle, the indigenous people with whom humans have a very uneasy truce. Others wonder about a connection to a mysterious object looming in the sky. And then, one by one, the children of New World begin to disappear. And off on a new adventure, coming of age sort of tale our characters must go. For our romance this week, we have Into the Blue by Emma Birdie. In the summer of 2000, AJ Graves dreams of writing for Saturday Night Live. Instead, she's stuck working in a video rental store with slim odds of escaping her small Massachusetts town. Then in walks Noah Drew, the enigmatic and intense scion of the Drew acting dynasty, and her life changes forever. Despite wildly different upbringings, the two forge a deep cosmic bond, first as friends, then as acting partners, until one day, Noah disappears without a word. 7 years later, in New York City, AJ is shocked to find herself cast in the same intergalactic TV production as Noah, by then a well-known Hollywood heartthrob. As their on-screen characters grow closer every day, the lines between reality and acting begin to blur. I think this one is a little bit second chance, but there's some sort of secret from their past that has kept them apart. Our nonfiction of the week is Joy Anyway by Kate Bowler. You can't always be happy, but you can be joyful anyway. Honest and bracingly tender, Joyful Anyway proves that experiencing joy does not depend on resolving everything that makes life difficult. Drawing on a decade of living with serious illness and a lifetime studying America's obsession with progress, Kate Bowler shows why people so busy chasing happiness miss out on actual joy. Now we dive into the honorable mentions for this week, starting out with the one that everybody is probably hyped for, Rights of the Starling by Devney Perry. This is the sequel to Shield with Sparrows. It's going to be an ongoing series. I'm not sure if it's a trilogy yet or not, but it is a series at least. Calandra's five kingdoms are on the verge of destruction. The Crux migration is coming, and in the wake of a devastating attack, I've been separated from the man who owns my heart. I think this is dual POV. Oh my gosh, there's a cat attacking the door. I'm sorry. I think this is a dual POV from the princess who was never supposed to be the one part of this political marriage. Lots of people loved the first book in this series. My hold at my library will eventually come in and I'll find out about it. Then we have a bind-up being published that's The Summer King by Jennifer L. Armentrout. It was previously the novellas The Prince, the King, and the Queen. And in this, you are following a ruthless fairy prince, I think, named Caden, as him and maybe a human huntress, assassin, have to work together to save both the realm of fairy and the mortal world as some rift is opened up between the two. Another sequel is Bloodsinger by Juliet Cross. This is part of the Fire That Binds series. However, in this one, we do seem to be following two new characters. This is still in an ancient version of Rome, so I'm assuming we're still in the same timeline, just following different characters. This time it is Layla Bingari's village was invaded on her wedding night, her betrothed murdered right in front of her. While her sisters were either dragged away or escaped, Layla was sold to Valerius, the consul of Rome. When she tried to kill Valerius her first night as his slave, the Bloodsinger gift manifested and she was punished for it. Now she's paraded in front of the other senators for their amusement. Except there will be a new senator or new political leader there who does not agree with this, and he smuggles her away, sets her free or something, and then there will be some sort of romance between them, of course. A conclusion to the Nightfall saga, which is the second trilogy set in the same world as the Demon Cycle books, which this one is The Demon King by Peter V. Brett. 15 years have passed since the end of the war with the demons, creatures of darkness who have hunted the night and plagued humanity since time out of mind. The heroes of humanity's hour of need have become legend, and those who remain struggle to escape their shadows. And in the second trilogy, you are following the children from the heroes of the first set of books. So we're following a new generation as the demon scourge that humanity thought was wiped out comes back. Another conclusion would be The Rise of the Celestials by Kritika H. Rao. This is the conclusion of the Divine Dancers duology, which was inspired by Hindu mythology and following celestial dancer Makina as she navigates her role as a weapon for the gods, her forbidden love with a mortal sage, and the war between the realms. It's short and simple duology, and her covers are beautiful. Another highly anticipated one would be the second book in the New Republic series, Release Me by Tara Maffei. And this series is in the same world as her Shatter Me series, but is taking place 10 years after the reestablishment, and it features the assassin Rosabelle Wolf as she seeks revenge against the system that created her while navigating a complicated relationship with James Anderson, and also you'll be following Aaron Warner. I know who none of these characters are because I never read that series, but a lot of people loved it. A dark academia YA fantasy, another conclusion, Infinite Shores by Pascal Lassalle. This is the end of the Drowned Gods trilogy. Fate cannot be broken, not even by the gods who serve it. It's following teen mage Emery as she navigates secret societies, gods, and dangerous magic to save her friends. I do believe the first book was very well received. And our final one is a little bit complicated. It is getting its trad publishing debut in physical copy, and both it and the second book are already on Kindle Unlimited, but the audiobook for the first one came out last summer. And I think the audiobook for the second one also just came out or was about to be coming out. But the first book is Smoke and Scar by Gretchen Powell Fox. This is the first of the Shattered Crown trilogy. For centuries, humans and magical races of Arcanus have been bitter enemies. Their only hope for lasting peace lies in the Arcane Crucible, a brutal series of trials that demand sacrifice every 25 years. Alaria Lightbreaker, once a celebrated Fey war hero, is a shadow of her former self. Cedric Thorne, humankind's would-be champion, has lived only for vengeance. Dark magic, betrayal, a slow burn love that could ignite the world. In the Arcane Crucible, enemies could become lovers or destroy each other before the trials are through. Now, you won't have to wait long for the conclusion of this trilogy either, as it is being released in all of its forms, hardback, ebook, and audiobook, on October 26th. That is all of the first week of April's really long list. Maybe you found a new one that you'd like to try or a series that you're looking forward to continuing. I just hope that you were finding something great to read today. You'll subscribe if you haven't yet, and then I will see you in the next video.